And we're live. Hello. Okay. So in the last video, I've been going off script for the past like 3 videos, by the way. So like this also is going to be an off script video. But the last video's title ended up being, and again, like because like I did not actually write a note. So anytime one of these videos is done, what I do is I basically have to write a title for it. And so I'm reading it with you right now. Gratitude is the trigger of our mind's memory structure. The reason I actually thought of using that because I was talking about how gratitude, and the minute you can, again, like trying to, what is gratitude? What am I grateful for? And you pick one thing, but what happens with your mind is that one thing, if you give it gratitude, then it kind of creates a path behind it of what things happened in order for it to exist. And so, like, I mean, like everything is kind of like visually that kind of trigger, everything. But when you're looking at gratitude, what you're effectively doing is connecting yourself to the actual storyline where these things happened, and effectively building a bigger structure when it comes to you and basically what are the things you would do in the future, because then you understand your habits and your behaviors. And I mentioned like something in the video about that, about my story and how kind of like me experiencing gratitude right now kind of took me all the way back to something. And I actually went through the process of reconsidering how I got to where I am right now and what are the things I did using one person as a reference because of what happened in the weekend. Like it was a fun weekend. So that's me explaining the last video, Yuki. But I ended it with, because I was like writing a letter of gratitude. I ended with like writing the principles. So like I will meet this journey with bravery, and basically I have to name principles: and bravery, loyalty, courage, kindness, respect, integrity, compassion, beauty, honesty, and sincerity. Remember, this has to feel like you're expressing yourself to a different entity. It has to feel, because I'm not a believer. I'm the kind of guy that lives his life on the basis that there's a fragment of the universe in every one of us, right? And this life, this world, had life created, and those are the pieces of the universe kind of like experiencing. We are life experiencing itself through the universe. It's the most poetic way to say it. But I wanted to do something with you. I wanted to read the seven virtues of Bushido with you guys, and I want to actually explain what the hell they are, and just kind of like elaborate on them in order for me to always have them at the forefront of my mind. And so here, the seven virtues of Bushido are seven virtues. The Bushido is the code of the samurai, and I think it's the cultural honor system in Japan. The traditions behind it have changed over the past like years, because they used to kind of like commit seppuku, and they had like very strong core. Like I like when a samurai like commits seppuku, it's because he'd rather die than live in the shame, right? These kinds of things, or out of loyalty, or stuff like this. But so here, most of the most beautiful poems ever written by Japanese poets are basically like haikus that are written by the people that had to like commit suicide, because like this, so within that moment, apparently like just the entirety of life, right, like truly reveals itself. But that's how honorable they were. That's how intense they were. Intense is the actual right word. That's how intense they were. And so, like, it's seven virtues basically. And a virtue is in a form of is you actually expressing yourself in a way that best describes you, right? That's like, and I did a video about it once, like just to live within our virtues, as in we're always exploring them and we're expanding through them. And so they had seven virtues. It's integrity, gi, rei, yu, meio, Jin, Makoto, and Chu. Forgive my Japanese accent. But D is integrity. Be acutely honest throughout your dealings with all people. That's what integrity means, right? Believe in justice not from other people, but from yourself. Here, they're reflecting, like, no, hey, my guy, your job is different than theirs. To the true warrior, all points of view are deeply considered regarding honesty, justice, and integrity. Here, like, my favorite part of it is like all points of view are deeply considered. That's where empathy kind of like feels to be the right skill to handle this. Warriors make a full commitment to their decisions. Making a decision, you're going to be committed to it. I thought of times where you kind of like make a decision and it turns out to be a bad one. But the problem with that is like that means you didn't assess it well, right? So like you're already flaky on the whole whatever. So on the whole like code part, like if you assessed it well, maybe you saw like this as an ending and you should have considered it. But that's basically integrity, right? Intention. Ray, respect. True warriors have no reason to be cruel. They do not need to prove that their strength. Warriors are courteous even to their enemies. Warriors are not respected for their strength in battle, but also by their dealings with others. Right? So he feel the fighter and you, the true like the beast, the animal, but as well feel like that. I don't want to say social animal, but I really am inclined to say because like Bushido is based from Buddhism, but kind of like the human being, right? The actual like essence of a human being, a person that's uh, respectful, understanding, proper behavior, right? Because like we tend to impose on others without noticing, and I think like this kind of like states how we actually could always consider other people differently, and that's where respect is. The true strength of a warrior becomes apparent during difficult times, right? When emotions are running rampant, and you're kind of like in that certain sense of like interaction, and feels like these are the times where you go like, I don't know what was going on, I lost control, I shouldn't have said that, right? Like these are all these things, and I think that's where respect kind of like lingers with you because like you always have to understand like whatever you say has to come from a place where the other person is always going to feel like what you're saying is you respecting them fully. And I think that's how you can develop your style because like you create the basis of communication and communication verbally, vocally, like all that stuff. Verbally, like physically. Anyway, it's just communication. The idea behind it is to actually just always make the other person understand that they're being respected. I think that's good because you manage your ego with it, right? Because ultimately, like, you can always tell where you're just about to kind of like sound conceited, arrogant. You can always tell. I think that could be like a way for you to kind of gauge how you're respecting people. Be like, why am I being arrogant? Right? Like calling yourself back. Third one is you. Why you? Heroic courage. Hiding like a turtle in a shell is not living at all. A true warrior must have heroic courage. Heroic courage, like, talks about itself. It is absolutely risky. It is living. It is living. One second. Why is this so? It is living life completely, fully, and wonderfully. Heroic courage is not blind. It is intelligent and strong. Right. So here he explains, like, no, like anytime you kind of feel like you're doing the same thing, that's basically it. You have to start looking at something, something that's beyond that scope until everything becomes beyond that scope, right? And at the end of it, he kind of like writes the note: heroic courage is not blind. Not he. I don't know the code. Heroic courage is not blind. It's intelligent and strong, as in like is able to articulate different places, it's able to understand, it's able to interact. Bear with me, guys. I'm explaining them to you in order for me to understand how I actually like decided to incorporate them. Because like every time I read them, they make sense to me. But every time I want to remember them, I remember that I'm doing things within that pattern, but I'm not really like I don't really know them by heart. I just know they make sense and really like I don't know, man. It really feels like I have been operating or trying to operate within their boundaries. But in a way, me always trying to like remember what they are and having an issue with it made me realize that they're not really like I don't understand them by heart. I don't understand truly what they represent or what they mean, or I don't like I can't connect with them fast enough so that the situations in front of me are always responded with them as my primary principles and values and virtues, right? And I think that's how we operate. Because like you look at your true self and you go like, what are the things that kind of like guide me through it? And then you basically you start basically expressing yourself more through them, and that's how you are able to explore from yourself instead of actually just like bringing stuff from outside. Because anything that you want to bring in, you always kind of link it with from yourself instead of trying to bring it and like put it somewhere. It would make sense, but if there's no true like connection to it. So these are the first three. I'm gonna do another video naturally because of this. Woohoo! It's a video. What to do, babies?